In light of recent events, I will no longer be doing any videos concerning Errol Spence Jr., Terence Bud Crawford, and that potential undisputed bout. No, I'm just joking. But I am going to cover this fight, or this video will be about my thoughts on everything that has transpired with the fight not going through, David Haney, what Errol Spence does next. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. In this video, I will give you the 3 or 4 key takeaways that I have for this meltdown in negotiation and what's next for both combatants, and will this fight ever happen again. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Let's go. Like I said before, y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy JG. Please, if you're here listening to the sound of my voice or watching the video, be so kind, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know, we're pushing for 1 million subs, right? And let's just get into the content. So as we all know, as the time of me recording this video, it's Sunday, and Errol Spence Jr., Terence Bud Crawford, it's a wrap. That fight is not taking place this year. It's not taking place in January, February. To go ahead and do a spoiler, that fight is not going to happen. I want to get into why I think we arrived at this point, and really the thing I've tried my best to avoid, which is the blame game, excuse me. So back in April, after the Yordenis Ugas fight, I did like 5 or 6 videos breaking down this potential matchup between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Bud Crawford. Strictly on footwork, power, jab, ring IQ, resumes, things of that nature. I've worked diligently to stay away from the political side of boxing and offering opinions on things that I do not know about. I'm going to break that mold today and offer my opinion as to why I feel like this fight did not take place. If you are an Errol Spence Jr. fan, stay tuned. Hear what I have to say, give me a shot. If you are a Bud Crawford fan, listen to me very carefully. Stay tuned, listen to what I have to say, offer your opinion in the comment section. Perhaps we'll do a live later on based on the comments that we get, but let's just break this down bit by bit. I believe it was 2 evenings ago, so Thursday evening going into Friday, news broke. It didn't break, but actually earlier that Thursday, yes, I'm correct. Boxing Scene released an article that essentially stated, and I put a poll out for this, that Errol Spence's team was growing concerned that this fight was not going to come to fruition based on radio silence that they had been getting from the Bud Crawford team after sending a contract back to them with revisions made based on the request from Bud Crawford's team. The same evening, it's announced via ESPN, I believe it was Mike Coppinger stated, Bud Crawford's going to be fighting David Haney in Omaha. Details to come. Black Prime app, streaming. I don't know. I have no idea what it is. It's been out long enough. I still haven't done the research because I don't care enough. That's just me being honest. Bud Crawford, potentially 8 figures. Black Prime, David Haney in Omaha. So you know right then and there, the deal's dead in the water. Now, I did a short video right when this information came out, like 5 minutes long. And I said, it's likely they were working that deal this entire time, because we've been thinking Errol Spence, and now we have David Haney, just like that. So it's not likely that this popped up overnight. It's something they've been working in the background. I think that hurts an opportunity, if not completely kills an opportunity, for this fight to ever happen under any circumstance ever again. And that's one aspect of it. I've kind of got ahead of myself, but I'll continue to dig into that. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Bud Crawford will never fight. Not at 47, not at 54, not in any division, not in expedition. What is it? What is that damn thing called? Anyway, they're not going to be fighting. When you do business and operate in this type of manner, it really spoils your opportunities to get things that are meaningful to yourself, to boxing fans, and to legacy and lore overall. You've wasted a lot of time if you're on the side of a Bud Crawford. When you think about an Errol Spence Jr., maybe that's not for you to consider. But from a professionalism standpoint, this is not how we do business. There were a lot of conversations concerning money, guarantees, pay-per-view back-end. Right now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know about any of that shit. I'm not one of the attorneys. I'm not on the legal team. I'm not in the communication rooms. I'm not in the negotiations, so I don't know. I won't pretend to know. But what I do know is if you are operating in good faith, you don't have a backup plan ready to rock at a moment's notice. If the fight falls through, both you guys go back to the drawing board and see if you can get something done for late December, January, February time. And that's not the case. I believe, if I'm correct, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but if I'm correct, the Terence Crawford Avanesian fight, David Avanesian, is for December. So Avanesian's been in camp. Bud Crawford, we know he's been training. It sounds more and more likely to me that the Errol Spence Jr. fight was never going to be a thing that they wanted to participate in. I'm not saying the word duck. I'm saying not interested. That's unfortunate for boxing. That's unfortunate for Errol Spence, his team, Showtime, Steven Espinosa, and all the individuals who've been operating to try to get this fight done. If you're Terence Bud Crawford, this does not serve you. You might get paid crazy, fight in your hometown. Avanesian is a guy who's lost to common opponents of both you and Errol Spence Jr., once by stoppage and then just getting mopped up by Lamont Peterson. This is not a quality fight. If you look at what's available for an Errol Spence Jr., let's say he fights in February. He's going to be fighting a top guy, not a David Avanesian. And I don't want to hear shit about a tune-up. If you're a Bud Crawford fan, I don't want to hear anything about a tune-up, because I will do a video and I will post tens of thousands of comments from my own content that I posted where all I hear is, Bud's going to destroy Errol. Errol's not shit. Bud's too fast. Errol's too slow. You guys are going to be sad when Errol gets knocked out. Blah, blah, blah. You can't go from that to, yeah, tune-up is what's appropriate. You can't have it both ways. You can't say Errol's going to get destroyed and then Bud Crawford needs a tune-up. Yeah, he's on a long layoff. But then you acknowledge he's on a long layoff off rip. You say, damn, you know, it's been a long time. I feel like Bud Crawford can win. Errol's a dangerous opponent. I would like to see Bud get a tune-up. I've heard no one say that. I have at least 12 or 15 videos about these two combatants, and no one has said that. No one has said, I would like to see Bud Crawford get a tune-up. In all the comments. I haven't seen it. But now, that seems to be an appropriate course of action. Bud Crawford getting a tune-up. This is not a tune-up fight. David Avanesian is not a tune-up fight. This is, I want to get the bag, not take a L, and see what happens next. There is no next after David Avanesian. Maybe Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis, somebody like that. Probably no PBC guys, because let's be honest, you wasted everyone's time. No Errol, no Keith Thurman, shit. None of them cat. No Danny at 54. None of that shit. It's not happening. It's not available to you. You've essentially cut off the avenue for a lot of great fights and fighters from 147 to 154 pounds. It's one thing for a fight not to fall apart, not come through. It's another thing to backdoor it. So then you put yourself in a position where we can't even trust you to keep your word, you or your team. As you have lawyers who are charging people money, working diligently to get contract revisions updated, sent over, all those types of things. You're sitting on your hands knowing we got a deal in the background. We're working with Frank Warren and his people, and we're going to get this done. It's super unfortunate. For the Bud Crawford fans, I have terrible news for you. Don't click off the video. If you're a Bud Crawford fan, I have really bad news for you. Devin Haney. The arguments of slave deals and robbery, he's not taking short change and all this bullshit. First of all, I hate the terminology slave deal. I think it's disrespectful and disingenuous. You can not like something and not attribute it to that. Sometimes When you are the B side, and Bud Crawford was the B side, no getting around that, you got to do what a Devin Haney does. Devin Haney was never going to lose to George Kambosos. I am sure he and his team knew that. But they also knew is, in order to get the opportunity to get those damn belts, we got to fight at Kambosos. Whatever they give us, we will take, and we will bet on ourselves, go over there and kick some ass. I did 2 breakdown videos on those fights. I did one the day it was announced and one a little bit later. And I said that fight will be non-competitive. Devin Haney's way better than Kambosos. It just wasn't a thing. Shout out to Kambosos. He had good time and caught Teofimo slipping, got some belts, got some money, some notoriety. He was able to dictate terms based on that positioning. But Devin Haney made a commitment to himself and his team and his pops. Let's go get these belts no matter what it takes. Terence Bud Crawford coming into these negotiations as if he had some sort of real leverage was foolhardy, and it complicated things, because ultimately, if it meant something to Bud Crawford to get this deal done, 35%, 40%, whatever, rematch clause, whatever, blah, 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 you acquiesce. You might not like that, and you might not agree with it, and I get that. But if your ultimate goal is to become undisputed in the 4-belt era at 147 pounds, one of the best divisions in the history of the sport of boxing, you acquiesce. Devin Haney is what we want all our fighters to be. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, because now he's in the driver's seat. There is no more bullshit. There is no more nonsense. There are no more short money and funny games. He got all the belts. He's undisputed at 135 pounds. Lomachenko, you want to play games before? Okay, cool. Shakur, he want to come up? He got to see Devin if he wants to get a belt. With the exception of Gervonta Tank Davis, and you know what? The noise around him is starting to get a little louder as far as his quality of opposition. But with the exception of Gervonta Tank Davis, who's a cash cow at 135 pounds, if you want to be anything in boxing at 135 pounds, all roads go through Devin Haney. And he took it on the end. He took it on the chin to get to that point. He should have just stayed in Australia, which I said he should get property. My very first video I did, a breakdown video I did, I said Devin Haney should just get property in Australia. He will beat Kambosos. They will rematch and he will beat him again worse. I did that video when they announced the fight. So that's without even seeing the first fight. I just knew what was going to take place. Going back to Terence Crawford, muddying the waters in the manner in which he did made this fight much more difficult to make than it needed to be. And here we are today. As of Sunday, it's not going to happen. I am placing blame. The thing that I've avoided this entire time, because I do not like this subject of blaming and this is Errol or this is Bud's fault. Bud and his team kept this fight from happening. Good luck trying to convince me otherwise, because I know the next opponent for Errol Spence Jr. is going to be a top tier guy. A fight worth buying and watching. Not on Black Planet, Black.com, Black whatever. It's not going to be on that network or app. It's not going to be a David Avanesian that most people don't even know. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a top guy. 47 or 54. The fight doesn't ever happen. Terence Crawford has made sure this fight will never, ever happen. Shout out to Bud Crawford and his team. If you're a boxing fan, hang in there. Because you know what? It was all good just a week ago. Michaela Mayer, Bumgardner, Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall, Deontay Wilder, Helenius, Plant, Durrell. That was a great weekend of boxing. And boxing still has those fights in store for us. But we just ran into a situation at the top of the welterweight division that disallowed us from having one of the best fights we could possibly see. We're not getting this fight. Shout out to Devin Haney for being what we need in the sport of boxing. Shout out to Errol Spence Jr. for being a man of his word. He said it himself. If it doesn't happen, it's not my fault. If it doesn't happen now because this is the best time, it's not going to happen. He's kept his word up until this point. Shout out to Bud Crawford. If he gets a crazy bag, then he looked out for his family. He did his thing. But he left a lot on the table from a legacy perspective, from a boxing perspective, and an integrity perspective, in my opinion. You lack integrity when you do business like that. And if you're good with that, that's great. From my perspective, that's a bit of a blow. It's a blow to the fans. It's a blow to boxing. Shout out to Omaha. Shout out to his fan base. If you guys made it this far, you're definitely a real one. This has been my time. Like I said before at the top, please like, subscribe, bell icon for notification. Shout out to these guys. Shout out to you all. And we out.